1 minute ago, Italy raised Campi Flegrei's alert status to yellow, and what I need to explain to you is what yellow actually means. It doesn't mean calm. It doesn't mean safe. Yellow means the volcano is talking. Yellow means something is changing beneath the ground. The ground is deforming. It's rising at speeds we haven't seen in 4 decades. Earthquake swarms are rattling 500,000 people living in the red zone. And here's what troubles me most. We have the data. We can see the warning signs clearly. The question is whether anyone is truly listening before it's too late. Let me walk you through what the science is telling us, because this is about more than just numbers on a dashboard. This is about the gap between what scientists are observing and what officials are saying publicly, and that gap is dangerous. The official bulletin begins with a single line. Due to a series of natural phenomena since 2012, the alert level of Campi Flegrei has changed to yellow. The words appear routine, almost bureaucratic, but the implications ripple through every layer of life around Naples. Yellow is not a color of calm in Italy's Civil Protection Code. It means increased unrest, heightened surveillance, more frequent advisories, an entire region on edge. The April 2025 update from the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology confirms the status with precise numbers. The ground has risen by over 1.4 meters since 2005. But here's the critical part. The deformation is accelerating. What used to be 1.5 centimeters of uplift per month has now reached 2 centimeters per month. This is not a subtle change. This is the fastest pace measured since the 1,980 seconds. During the 1,980 seconds crisis, tens of thousands of people were evacuated. This acceleration means we're heading in that direction again, maybe worse. Think of it like this. Imagine you're watching water level in a bathtub. For years, it's rising very slowly. You don't really notice it. But then suddenly, the water starts rising faster. Not a lot faster, just a bit. But that change in speed tells you something important. The faucet has been turned up. Something below has changed. That's what's happening beneath Pozzuoli right now. The ground is being pushed upward faster than before. Something deep underground is pushing harder. The recent earthquake stacked pressure beneath a city of 500,000 people. May 20th, a magnitude 4.4 earthquake. March 13th, a magnitude 4.6. Each one shaking buildings. Each one fracturing foundations. Each one a signal that something underneath is moving, shifting, breaking, yet the language in the official bulletins remains measured, clinical, almost calm. In reality, the land is moving faster than at any point in the last 40 years. Behind the scenes, rumors circulate about a new phase, something officials call dark yellow, an unofficial category designed to avoid the legal chaos of raising the packaging alert to orange. Because orange means evacuation. Orange means shutting down businesses. Orange means admitting the situation is more serious than anyone wants to acknowledge. So instead, they invent a new color that doesn't officially exist. This is the gap I'm talking about. The gap between what the data shows and what people are being told. A new study published in September 2025 by researchers at Stanford working with Italian volcanologists has brought renewed attention to Campi Flegrei's danger, and the findings are extraordinary. The team used artificial intelligence to re-examine years of earthquake recordings. They fed a computer system millions of data points from sensors scattered across the volcano. The computer learned patterns. It learned to recognize earthquakes so small that human eyes had missed them. Here's what they discovered. Traditional monitoring had counted roughly 12,000 earthquakes between 2022 and early 2025. The artificial intelligence system revealed 54,000 events. more than 4 times as many. 3/4 of the earthquakes were so small that human operators had missed them completely. These aren't just numbers. Each tiny earthquake is a fracture in the rock. Each one is a sign of pressure building. Each one is the volcano cracking and splitting from the inside out. The digital reanalysis did something extraordinary. It exposed the hidden world beneath the city. When you plot 54,000 earthquake locations on a map, a picture emerges, a ring-shaped fault, a circular break in the earth several kilometers long, encircling the zone of maximum ground uplift. It circles directly beneath neighborhoods, schools, the waterfront. This is not a simple crack. It's the result of the pressure from below, literally stretching and fracturing the cap rock above the magma chamber. The cap rock is like a lid on a pot of boiling water. As the pressure increases, the lid begins to crack. Each small earthquake is a new crack forming in that lid. Professor William Ellsworth, the lead author of the study, called this a turning point. He said, "Now we are seeing for the first time the geological structures that are responsible for the unrest." What this means is that for the first time, scientists have a clear picture of exactly where the volcano could rupture. They can see the weak points. They can trace the fracture lines. They know where the danger is concentrated. The numbers tell a story of accelerating danger. Ground deformation has jumped from 1.5 centimeters per month to 2 centimeters per month. Each month, the surface pushes upward. Roads buckle. Foundations strain. Walls crack. The satellite radar images updated weekly confirm the trend. There's a broad dome of uplift centered beneath Pozzuoli, spreading outward like a slow motion wave. Scientists track these shifts obsessively because they know what it means. In volcanic systems like Campi, Flegrei, a jump in ground deformation is rarely benign. It's not like a building settling. It's not a normal geological process that will just stop on its own. It's pressure building, energy accumulating, a system moving toward release. Now, here's where it gets critical. A new Stanford study from September 2025 identified something crucial. Before the largest earthquakes strike, 2 signals always rise together, not one or the other, both at the same time. The first signal is ground deformation, the earth rising faster than normal. The second signal is earthquake swarms, thousands of tiny earthquakes clustering in a small area, all within the first few kilometers of the surface. When both signals spike together, a strong earthquake follows within days or weeks. If only one signal increases while the other stays calm, the system usually settles down without incident. But when both increase at the same time, the volcano is entering what scientists call the preparatory phase, the moment just before something major happens. And right now, both signals are spiking together. The ground is deforming faster than in 40 years. The earthquake swarms are intensifying. The 2 warning lights are both flashing red simultaneously. Every morning for the past 4 weeks, the ground beneath Pozzuoli has trembled. The earthquake swarm began quietly, just a handful of tiny shakes, too faint for most people to feel, but impossible to miss on the seismographs. By the end of the first week, the pattern was unmistakable. Not a single day without earthquakes. Some days counting dozens of small shocks, all clustered at depths between 1 and 3 kilometers. Shallow earthquakes right beneath the city. May 22nd, 18 earthquakes before dawn. May 25th, earthquakes at midday, strong enough to rattle shop windows and set off car alarms. June 2nd, a shallow event strong enough to jolt families from their beds, followed by aftershocks that lasted until sunrise. The National Institute's daily logs stack up like a diary of unrest. Hundreds of events, each one a tiny fracture, each one a signal of stress moving through the volcanic rock. Maps of the swarm show a dense cluster under the Solfatara crater and the city's historic center, matching exactly where the ground is rising fastest. For geophysicists, this 4-week streak stands out not just for its length, but for its perfect alignment with the warning pattern identified in the latest studies. The system is behaving exactly as the data predicted. A continuous swarm, shallow and clustered, running parallel to accelerating ground deformation. The timing, the location, the daily rhythm, all fit the pattern. This is the window when something larger could be triggered. Deep beneath Pozzuoli, the seismic maps now reveal a structure that was invisible just a few years ago. Artificial intelligence has traced a new fault, not the tectonic faults that come from continental grinding, but a fault created by volcanic forces, pressure from below, gas and heat pushing upward, stretching and fracturing the rock that seals the magma chamber. This is the cap rock. Think of it as the lid on a pressure cooker. As pressure builds, the lid develops cracks. Each small earthquake is another crack forming. The AI model has mapped not just one fault, but 2 parallel faults converging directly beneath the heart of the city. The convergence zone is where the ground is rising fastest. It's where the risk of a major rupture is highest. Most of the earthquakes cluster at depths of 1 to 4 kilometers, right at the boundary between the swelling magma below and the rock above. This geometry means the faults act as weak points in the volcanic lid. Every earthquake, no matter how small, chips away at the strength of this barrier. Every tremor weakens the seal a little more. Engineers and geophysicists have run the numbers. A magnitude 5 earthquake centered beneath Pozzuoli would bring down thousands of buildings in minutes, thousands in a single morning. The greatest danger lies in the old neighborhoods built before modern earthquake codes, where brick buildings and unreinforced concrete dominate. In these zones, collapse rates could reach 15%. Entire blocks at risk of collapsing under the force of even moderate shaking. The confidential simulations prepared for Naples City Council reveal a casualty footprint that stretches far beyond any one epicenter. For the 500,000 residents of the red zone, the risk is measured not in statistics, but in daily choices. Whether to stay or leave, whether to send children to school, whether to trust that today's tremor will not be the one that brings the ceiling down. Civil protection officials have quietly rewritten the rules of response. In spring 2025, a new phase was inserted between yellow and orange. They call it dark yellow. Unofficially, this new tier doesn't exist in any official decree. It doesn't exist in any public bulletin. But its purpose is clear. Avoid triggering an orange alert, because orange would require immediate evacuation drills. It would disrupt every aspect of life in the region. It would require admitting how serious this truly is. Instead, they invented a color that doesn't officially exist. By doing this, officials keep the machinery of daily life running, even as ground deformation and earthquake swarms meet the scientific criteria for escalation. It's a way of managing a crisis while pretending the crisis doesn't exist. At the same time, emergency exercises have been quietly rebranded. What used to be called seismic drills are now officially labeled volcanic eruption drills, with new scenarios involving maritime evacuations across the Bay of Naples to Sicily. Ferry manifests are checked. Port authorities coordinate with the Navy. Evacuation maps are redrawn to account for a mass exodus by sea. The language is bureaucratic, but the intent is unmistakable. Acknowledge the threat without admitting to the public that the threshold for action has already been crossed. Official statements continue to frame the danger in measured terms. At a press conference in September, Italy's head of civil protection said the probability of an eruption remains at medium to low levels based on current models and monitoring data. This language appears in every bulletin, every televised briefing, every press release. Even as the ground rises faster than any point in 40 years, even as earthquake tallies climb by the hundreds each week, the message is always the same: heightened vigilance, but no cause for alarm. Scientists, meanwhile, are issuing warnings that carry a very different weight. The senior volcanologist at the National Institute told reporters in October that the risk of a sudden steam explosion is substantial, that events could occur any day given the elevated pressure and cumulative earthquake energy. He said this to the press: "On the record, this is not a private conversation. This is a public warning." Peer-reviewed scientific studies published this fall echo that view. They point to the exact same combination of accelerating uplift and relentless small earthquakes that preceded the eruption of 1538. When the volcano erupted then, it created an entirely new mountain, Monte Nuovo. It rose from farmland in days. Villages were buried. Crops failed across southern Italy for years. One research team concluded that given the ongoing ground uplift and the clustering of shallow seismicity, the probability of a phreatic explosion is high in the current phase. Now let me explain what phreatic means. It's a steam explosion. Superheated water trapped beneath the surface suddenly flashes to steam and explodes violently. It's different from a magma eruption, but just as destructive. This is not a technical disagreement over numbers. This is a fundamental split in how risk is communicated and in who gets to decide when to take action. Officials cite historical precedent. They worry about false alarms. They point to the danger of causing panic. Scientists point to the mounting evidence that the system is entering a preparatory stage where something major could be triggered very soon. For the 500,000 residents living above the swelling caldera, this gap between what officials say and what scientists observe is more than academic. It's a question of transparency. It's about real-time access to data. It's about decisions grounded in reality rather than politics. Today, 500,000 people live atop Europe's most restless volcano. Seismic alarms are intensifying. The ground is deforming faster than it has in 40 years. Earthquake swarms are relentless. The artificial intelligence has revealed the hidden fault lines. The warning signs from nature are unambiguous, and yet the official color remains yellow. Not orange, not red, yellow. An unofficial dark yellow exists in planning documents, but not in public. Emergency drills are rebranded. The language in bulletins is carefully chosen to avoid triggering action. Every tremor adds risk. Every delay narrows the margin for safety. Campi Flegrei's unrest is not just geological. It is a test of how we respond to warning signs we can clearly see. It is a test of collective responsibility. And in the shadow of uncertainty, inaction has consequences measured not in warnings but in lives.